They say March in Arizona brings peace. The desert cools at night. The wind whispers secrets only the saguaros understand. And the sky gleams with a silent promise. But on the evening of March 13th, 1997, that peace fell completely silent. My name is Jack Whitaker. I was 34 back then, living in Ahwatukee, just south of Phoenix. I worked as a field technician for an electric company. Divorced, no kids. Just me, my beat-up Dodge Dakota, and a telescope I barely knew how to use. I liked quiet, solitude. I never believed in ghosts or aliens. But that night, everything changed. It started like any other Thursday. I just finished a shift fixing a power station out in Mesa. My hands were still greasy when I grabbed a beer from the fridge and stepped out into my backyard. My house faced South Mountain. No streetlights, just open sky. Around 8:15 p.m., something pulled at my attention. Not lightning, not sound, just a subtle motion. Above the ridge, a series of lights began to appear. 5 lights, soft, white, moving together in perfect alignment. At first, I thought it was military aircraft. Luke Air Force Base ran regular exercises nearby, but these weren't planes. There was no sound, no rumble, no hum. Just silence so complete I could hear my own pulse. I ran inside and grabbed my binoculars. Zooming in, I could make out the shape. A massive V-shaped craft. The lights weren't individual objects. They were attached to a single colossal form, darker than the sky. The stars behind it vanished as it passed, and the way it moved, no bobbing, no drifting. It glided like it was on celestial rails, smooth, precise. I felt, and I know this sounds insane, I felt it was watching me too. By 8:45, it vanished. I stood there for a long time, breathless, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. I wasn't drunk, I wasn't tired. It happened. I saw it. I jumped in my truck and drove south. No destination. I just needed to move. 15 minutes later, my CB radio crackled to life. I always kept it on for emergencies. A voice, distorted but urgent, came through. Anyone else seeing the lights over Estrella? They're back again. I slammed the brakes. The Estrella Mountains were less than 10 miles away. I turned off onto a dirt road I'd used for work, climbed a small hill and killed the engine. That's when I saw them. This time, 9 lights, hovering in a line over the ridge. Bright orange, steady, unblinking. They didn't move. I grabbed my cheap camcorder, no tripod, and started filming. But after 30 seconds, the battery died, freshly charged, dead. That's when I felt it. The shift in air pressure. Like before a storm, but wrong. Metallic. My hair stood on end. And then one by one the lights blinked out. Not faded, vanished like someone flipped a switch. I stayed there until past midnight. Nothing more. The next morning, the radio stations were flooded. People were describing exactly what I'd seen. Same V-shape, same silence, same floating lights. But the government denied everything. They said it was flares. Flares don't move like that. Don't stay in perfect formation. Don't just vanish. Then the governor mocked it. Brought someone in a rubber alien suit to a press conference. Everyone laughed. But it wasn't funny. It was terrifying. Because I knew deep down what I saw wasn't human. Weeks passed. I couldn't sleep. I kept going out to the desert, night after night, hoping, maybe fearing it would return. I wasn't alone. I met others under the stars, veterans, homemakers, teenagers, all of us connected by the unexplainable. One night, I met a woman named Claire. She'd been driving on Interstate 17 when the craft passed overhead. She said it shut down her car, left her stranded in the silence. She said when she looked up, her mind went blank, like something touched her inside. I told her I believed her, because I'd felt that too. In 2007, Governor Symington confessed, said he saw it too, that he lied because he was told to. That night, I cried, because I wasn't crazy, we weren't crazy. Even now, 28 years later, I still look up and remember. I never remarried. I never left Arizona. Something inside me changed that night. Maybe part of me stayed with that ship, or maybe it left something in me. People ask what I think it was. I don't know. A probe, a ship, a warning. But I know one thing. It was real. And it wasn't ours. So every year, on March 13th, I drive back to that hill near Estrella. I bring a folding chair, a thermos of coffee, and a notebook. I look up and I wait. Because maybe, just maybe, it'll come back. And this time, I'll be ready. But there's more I haven't told anyone. Not until now. A few nights after the lights vanished, I started having dreams. Not just flashes, but full vivid dreams. I was standing in a field of black sand beneath a glowing sky. Above me, the same V-shaped craft hovered, silent as ever. From its underbelly, a beam of pale light swept across me. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. I didn't feel fear, just intense curiosity, like I was a specimen. In one dream, I reached out to touch the light. The moment my fingers met it, my body lifted from the ground. I felt weightless, thoughtless, disconnected from time. There were symbols in the sky I couldn't understand. Circular, shifting patterns that made my brain ache. I awoke drenched in sweat, heart racing. And then there were the whispers. At first faint, like a radio between stations. But as the weeks went on, I started hearing them just before sleep. Words in no language I knew, yet I somehow understood them. We are watchers. We remember you. Then came the drawings. I'd wake up and find strange sketches on the notepad by my bed. Sketches I didn't remember making. Complex symbols. Geometries that didn't make sense. Diagrams of mechanisms that looked like nothing I'd ever seen before. One image kept repeating. A circular gate with light pouring through it, and what looked like human figures walking into it. I showed one to Claire. She went pale. Said she'd dreamed the same symbol. After that, I began to feel watched. Not by people, but by presence. Electrical interference followed me. Lights flickered when I walked into rooms. My dog refused to enter my bedroom. I caught glimpses in the mirror. Shapes that shouldn't have been there. Sleep became a battleground. The dreams grew more intense. Sometimes I'd wake up outside, barefoot in the yard, eyes fixed on the stars. One night, the dream changed. I was on a table, cold, smooth, metallic. The room was dim, but glowing. Figures stood around me, tall, thin, skin like porcelain. Their eyes were like wells, deep and endless. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their thoughts came into mine like wind through an open window. They were curious but not unkind. They showed me visions of earth cracked and burning, of skies filled with dust, but also of renewal. Forests blooming over crumbled cities, beings walking hand in hand. Something about cycles, collapse, rebirth, observation. And then, one final thought. You are marked. You saw us. That cannot be undone. I woke with a scar on my wrist I'd never noticed before. A perfect circle. In the weeks and months following the sightings, I found myself drifting away from old friends and co-workers. At first, I tried to tell them what I'd seen, hoping for some shared understanding. But the looks I got were pitying or outright dismissive. They told me I was imagining things, or that the stress from work was getting to me. Even Claire, my only confidant, seemed to pull away after a while. That loneliness was almost worse than the sightings themselves. I became obsessed with understanding the craft, the lights, the dreams. I poured through dusty UFO magazines, old reports from Roswell and Phoenix lights, and everything in between. I discovered there was a secret world just beneath the surface, one of government cover-ups, anonymous tip-offs, and people who vanished for speaking out, but no answers. One chilly April night, as I sat by the window of my small apartment watching the stars, the silence was shattered by a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. no one ever knocked. Peering through the peephole, I saw two figures, tall, lean, wearing dark coats. Their faces were shadowed by wide-brimmed hats. My pulse quickened. "Jack Whitaker," one asked in a low voice. "We'd like to talk about what you saw." I hesitated, then nodded, stepping